What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Bama Nation, what's happening with everybody? What's happening with you guys? We're rocking and rolling with you. Hottest show in the streets, covering your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of TDA on a Friday. The only reason why I'm from the home location today, the weather outside, awful. Be careful on the road, people. A lot of rain, a lot of lightning, thunder, and flash flooding. A lot of stuff I've seen here in the weather report, and that's the reason why we're coming to you this evening from the home location. So people, y'all stay dry. Be careful out here on these roads where the weather is concerned. But we're giving you right here non-stop Bama football content to ride into your weekend. Go ahead right now, smash that subscribe button. You tap subscribe right now. You hit the like button right now. Get locked on to all things Bama. Daily Super Chat Go, $100. Daily Super Chat Go, $100 right there. Happy to have all of you guys supporting us here at TDA. We got a lot to get into. I mean, today got a chance to speak with offensive assistant coaches, Robert Gillespie, Chris Kapkovich, Nick Sheridan, Jamarcus Shepard, a lot. Got a chance to speak with a lot of Alabama offensive players today. Tyler Booker, Kendrick Law. I'm just saying. Got a chance to see a lot today in these interviews. When you look at spring practice, so going to touch on quite the array of topics, but we want you, the Bama Nation, going absolutely berserk in the chat line. Get your comments right there, taking your comments right here on the show on a Friday night, getting you set for your weekend here in terms of Crimson Tide football. But right now, we started a few comments here on the show. You guys are rolling those in right now. So how about BT in a daze? Roll Tide, everybody. Happy to have you here, BT in a daze. And we got Rama Jamma Yellow Hammer with that roll tizzy. Roll Tide to you, Rama Jamma, helping us out right there, dropping in We got Christian Hughes, Roll Tide, Bama Nation. It's still Lank for life. We had the man of Lank, Jalen Milroe, talking today. Once again, we'll get into some of the things that he said there. Run the Table Sports TV, giving us a Roll Tide. Appreciate that, Run the Table. He also writes in, Justice Haynes said, we want to be elite. Haynes did say that, talking about the tandem of him and Jam Miller, saying it's their time to take over. You got to add Richard Young in the mix as well. And then Daniel Hill, the four-star freshman, Robert Gillespie, had a lot of really good things to say about Daniel Hill. He's tough as nails, works extremely hard. He played Wildcat quarterback in high school, so he's a very smart young man, a guy that's already picked up the pass blocking schemes, the entire playbook. He's picking it up right now for Alabama. Yes, he does have to get himself in a bit more shape, but there's a lot of good things where Daniel Hill is concerned. Very excited to see, what he becomes. We got Mike Coleman in here. Roll Tide, Stephen, man. Appreciate you, Mike, helping us out here on the show. Coleman also says, we're still getting rain out here in Prattville. People, be careful out here on the road, wherever you are in the state of Alabama. There's some crazy weather going on. Be careful as you're out there on the road. But everybody getting your thoughts in. Appreciate all of you guys helping us out on the show. Dre Lively writes in, K-Law breakout season. He's about to have it. K-Law's a dog. Had a big catch Wednesday in the first media viewing of spring practice. Really enjoying the energy that K-Law is bringing to the table. Mary Ragland writes in, Roll Tide. Appreciate you, Mary, checking out the show late here on a Friday, but still bringing you all of the information here when you talk Bama football. So we're going to quickly get into topic number one of the conversation, that being this coaching staff has a lot of confidence in Jalen Milroe. This coaching staff is high confident on Milroe, who is back, the junior from Katy, Texas, former four-star in the 2021 class. This past season was his first year starting. Yes, he encountered some struggles early on, but from the Ole Miss game to the rest of the season, caught fire, didn't have the best Rose Bowl performance, but he ended up with nearly 3,000 passing yards, 2,834, 35 total touchdowns, just 6 picks, became what was voted a permanent team captain by his peers. And he talked about today, when Nick Saban retired, a lot of people were hopping into his DMs trying to get him to go away from Alabama. A lot of coaches, a lot of teams jumped into Milroe's DMs to see, could they sway him away from the Crimson Tide. He said there were a lot of sharks in the water trying to get him away from Tuscaloosa, but he stayed 10 toes down, did not move off of his commitment for the University of Alabama. So thankful to have a young man like Jalen Milroe in this program, the leadership that he has, just a special person that he is. And Nick Sheridan, Alabama offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, talked about it. Just the joy of getting to know Milroe as a person, getting to know him as an individual. We already see the athleticism he has as a runner, his willingness to tweak up some things from a passing mechanic standpoint. But 94.5 in Birmingham, they had Brock Heward on. Heward, former Washington quarterback, a former NFL quarterback, was talking about the one thing he wants to see Milroe improve upon in this King and DeBoer offense is the processing of information. Brock Heward said if Milroe can fine-tune his processing, this is a first-round draft pick. And I can see that. We saw 2 years with Michael Penix Jr. in this system. He was able to process. He was able to get the ball out quickly, get the ball into the hands of the playmakers, 2-time 4,000-yard passer. And though he did take a beating in the national championship game against Michigan, Michael Penix is still being projected as a first-round draft pick coming up here next month in the NFL venue. So if Jalen Milroe can fine-tune his process and ability, this kid has a chance to be a first-round draft pick. But Really cool to see the coaching staff express this confidence in him, especially Nick Sheridan. When he talked about what do I think on Milroe, I'm highly confident in Milroe. Super talented kid, super special kid, super special young man, super special athlete. Like Nick Sheridan said, I call myself lucky to just be around him. That's what Nick Sheridan said. I call myself lucky to just be around Milroe. This is going to be a very fun spring for this young man because you have Austin Mack, who's 6'6", 226 pounds. You got Dylan Larnigan in here. You got Ty Simpson, who chose to stick around for this spring. And everybody's pushing, right? Everybody's pushing to try to be the starting quarterback for this Alabama football program. But Milroe is back with the experience in marquee games, with the leadership in marquee games. He has the physical tools about himself. All he's got to do is just improve his processing. And I think that young man's going to be all right. I think that young man is going to be gold. And he had a few really nice passes on Wednesday when the media was out there, including one to Kendrick Law, who grabbed it with one hand. And I'm like, my gosh, Kendrick Law is going to be an animal out there. But really like Milroe. Appreciate the confidence that Nick Sheridan is showing in him. And it just shows you that this A-Day game coming up here in the spring, it's going to be something to watch. It's going to be something fun to get to. Going to be a sight here to see. But we're going to jump back into your comments here on the show here on the Friday night. Let's get back into your comments here. Wow, let's see what we got here. Appreciate all of you guys writing in. We got David L. Bama coaches are very impressive. I like what I see. Classy bunch. Very classy bunch. From Kalen DeBoer, Nick Sheridan, Jamarcus Shepard, Robert Gillespie, Chris Kaplovich, Brian Ellis. Defensively, you got Freddie Roach, Coach Hitzler, Coach Molenquist, just a very, very classy, unique bunch here. Coach Robinson, love all these guys. Kane Womack gets to DC, love these guys. And all of what they're doing, David, they're doing with intentionality. Everything that they're doing with the focus of you are going to see this in a game. This is going to happen and or take place on the field, and you got to be ready. You got to be prepared for whatever happens. You got to be locked in set on whatever happens. And this coaching staff, they're getting their players at various positions locked in set on what's going on. We got to Cam Nurse writes in, roll tide from Salt Lake City, Utah, by the way of Sweet Home, Alabama. Appreciate Cam Nurse helping us out here on the show. Lorenzo Anderson with the roll tide. Appreciate that, Lorenzo. Absolutely. Mary Ragland, way to go, J-Mill. Love you, Mary. Appreciate Milroe sticking around. Milroe, one of the main core guys that said, I will not hop in the transfer portal. I will hang tough. I will stick around. I will see what Kalen DeBoer and this offense has to offer. Several coaches, several teams reached out to Milroe, did not go anywhere, stayed with Bama. David Williams writes in, besides Milroe, whose name will you hear the most by the end of the season? Besides Milroe, I go Justice Haynes. Yeah. I think we'll hear a lot of Justice. Either a lot of Justice or maybe a lot of Kendrick Law. But I can see Justice. A lot of Justice being hurt this season. So I would go Justice Haynes right there. Let's see here. Adam Lamparero sits here. He writes in, watch the replay of the Michigan game. Milroe missed wide open receivers. I totally disagree. Now he does. Look, he has been working on his passing mechanics right now. He's been working on that this entire offseason, then now going into spring ball. Now, of course, the first day of practice, I get it's the first day, but the first day of media viewing, he did have several nice passes out there, which I saw those things. Now, of course, we want to see this transition to being on the field, Adam, and I would agree with you. We want to see this transition on the field, right? We get the talking, we get the clips that are being shown, but we want to see this come into fruition on the field. Now, a positive thing for Milroe is he has a lot of guys that have played the quarterback position working around him on the coaching staff, and that's huge. When you look at Nick Sheridan play quarterback, he's on the coaching staff. When you look at Brian Ellis, who's Alabama's tight ends coach, he played quarterback at UAB. He's on the coaching staff. You look at Mitch Dalen, who's an offensive analyst, but he's working with quarterbacks. He played quarterback himself. That's huge. So you got all these quarterbacks who have played the position, who understand what it is, how it works, and they're providing Milroe with this knowledge of here's what you can do to be better, here's what you can do to get better. I think he's taking that ownership. He's taking that coaching. He's taking that understanding, and he wants to be better. And that's the big thing. He wants to be better. He wants to take that next step within this offensive system. But I mean, it's going to come down to seeing these clips and these ideas come to fruition on the field. That's the main thing. Coming to fruition there on the field. Let's see here. Jay the Goat writes in, Steve, what's your phone number? I'm finna call. Put me on the loudspeaker so I can talk loud here to the people here. Well, Jay the Goat, we're going to save that for A-Day because I'm going to meet up with you during the A-Day game or before the A-Day game so we can chop this thing up. So, Jay the Goat, I'm going to check you out there in the spring game. So Adam, I'm not going to say, Adam, that you're being negative. I'm going to say that you want to see this come into fruition on the field. That's what all of us wants to see. We all love that. We all like the talk, but talk is talk. It's when can it happen on the field? We've seen so much talk throughout all seasons in the past, and that talk has not translated to production, excellence, elite play on the field. So when you get the elite play on the field, then the talking is justified, right? Then the talking is justified when it becomes elite play on the field. So that's right there. That's right there. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see how this all kind of shakes out here for the Crimson Tide. We got L.A. Miles writes in, Justice Haynes is going to be a Heisman finalist. That's my prediction right there. Justice Haynes is going to be a monster, y'all. We saw him start to break out some in that Rose Bowl and still wondering why the ball was taken out of his hands prematurely. But that guy's an animal. And seeing the 1-2 punch of him and Jam Miller with Richard Young involved as well, I'm excited to see this running back room. So excited to see this running back room right now. Going to be phenomenal. Adam Lampolero writes in, James Smith can be a stud on the defensive line. I'm excited to see what he does. James Smith needs to play. That's another one that this team is going to have to get loose here on this defensive line. And he turn him loose. Let him get out for the quarterback. Let him stuff the run. Turn that man loose up from Carver High School. Absolutely turn that man loose. James Smith there. Appreciate all of you guys for writing in, getting your thoughts here on the show here for In My Own Words on a Friday. But as we jump back into the conversation before we take our next break here, we get this comment here. Eugene Ingram, don't sleep on Richard Young, which I'm not. I am not sleeping on Richard Young. Another 5-star that came in from Florida with Justice Haynes. I am absolutely not sleeping on Richard Young. He's got some speed, some burst, some explosiveness, some shiftiness to his game. He's got some hands out the backfield too. And the way that Robert Gillespie coaching these running backs, I'm looking forward to seeing how they divvy up these reps here. Looking forward to seeing how they divvy up these reps here at the running back position. But we're going to go to this thought right here from Aldrin McCants. What are our offensive tackles looking like? The offensive tackles, I got a chance to speak with Chris Kaplovich, the offensive line coach today during the press conference or the interview period. He mentioned that Alabama doesn't have the big time experience at offensive tackle, but you got a lot of talented guys at that position. You got Elijah Pritchett, he's back. He does have some game experience. You bring over Nakia Bertrand from Texas A&M, he can be an offensive tackle. Then you have big old Miles McVay, can be an offensive tackle. You got Wilkin Formby, who, in my opinion, the young man from Northridge High School here in Tuscaloosa, he was the most technically sound offensive tackle from the 2023 class, regardless of the fact that Caden Proctor started. Wilkin Formby was the most technically sound tackle. And during Wednesday's media viewing, it was Formby who was with that first team offensive line. It was Wilkin Formby at that right tackle spot. So you got Wilkin Formby, who's got potential there. Miles McVay, going back to Nakia Bertrand, Elijah Pritchett. So those are some guys there at that offensive tackle spot here that, if you're a Bama fan, definitely keep your eye on. We got back to Charles. Terry writes in, Steven, I like Odom moving to wide receiver. I do too. Physical, contested catches, 50-50 balls, can run routes, can get open over the middle. I like him. 6'5", I like Caleb Odom. 6'5", athletic, all the tools in the tool belt there. You had today Kendrick Law compare Caleb Odom to George Pickens of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like crazy right there. So I like Odom at that wide receiver position as well. Don Parker writes in, I'm not negative but realistic. I am more interested in how this year's team performs in games and not what being said in interviews, especially after 4 years of who's going to do, who is going to take it personal. That's the main thing. It's, will it translate on the field? That's what we all want to see, Don. Will it translate on the field? It is time to let this thing translate where it needs to translate to, and that's on the field. Less talking about it. Where's the action behind it, right? Where's the action to ensure this takes place? Where is the action to ensure that this happens? I understand we enjoy the talk. We enjoy this is what I like. This is what I see. What's going to actually happen, right? You guys are a fan base. You crave results. You crave marquee results. You crave consistent results. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with craving consistent results here. And when you see that talk, didn't get it done, now it's about let's talk. Where's the action, right? Where's the get the lunch pail out and go to work at? Where's that at? Once we see that, then we can say, okay, now the talk is justified. But until we see the action, the talk is not justified. It's just talk. So we're at a point right now where we're in spring ball. We're watching these things kind of unfold, but it's about when will the talk become justified by the corresponding action. So it's not necessarily you guys being negative. It's you want to see talk being followed up with corresponding action. And I myself would like to see the exact same thing. I myself with Nick Saban no longer being the head coach here of this football team here. But let's see here. Alan Epinero writing in, the 3 incoming 5-star DBs may be rock stars immediately and improve the defense. Now, you look at these DBs here. When you talk Jalen Mbakwe, or when you talk Xavier Brown and a couple of others there, this defensive back room's got a chance to be really good. This defensive back position's got a chance to be very scary here in terms of how good, how strong it could actually truly be. Now, These dudes are going to have to learn the schemes, learn the coverages, learn the situations in terms of being on the field. But as far as athleticism, as far as tools, as far as potential, as far as size, so as far as fit is concerned, this secondary with these young guys, they got a chance to be very good here where this program is concerned. But before we jump into topic 2 of the conversation, and topic 2 is going to be fun and interesting, we got a word here from our guys at Alumni Hall in T-Town, Midtown Village. Let's check out our partners right here. We're out here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa. Oh, yeah, oh, man. Gotta get this. Gotta get one of these right here. Can't rock that Bama without this shirt right here, fresh polo. You gotta also rock the all pink, like Kanye West right there. Keychains, gotta get you some keychains. University of Alabama keychains. I'm telling you, if you are a die-hard Alabama fan and you're looking for some big-time apparel, this place has got everything. We're talking shirts, shoes, sweatshirts, hoodies, cups, mugs, keychains. If you're just a Tide fan that has an itch to get more apparel, get more swag in your game, you come right here at Alumni Hall in Tuscaloosa, right here in Midtown Village. And also you can shop online. The link is in the description to get your gear right here at Alumni Hall. There you go, folks. There you go. The place you got to get to. Alumni Hall, Midtown Village in Tuscaloosa. Appreciate those guys, our partners, helping us out here with all things Tide football gear. But getting to topic 2 of the conversation here on the show, and that being, I know we talked about the offensive tackle position, but Coach Chris Kaplovich opened up our eyes to something even more important. There's a position battle happening at center, people. We got a 2-man tango at that center position, that being James Brockermeyer, who came in 4-star in the 2021 class. Remember the Brockermeyer brothers, James and Tommy Brockermeyer? Well, Tommy, the 5-star, now at TCU. James, his brother, the 4-star, still at Bama. James Brockermeyer is battling Parker Brasford, the transfer from Washington, for the starting center role, according to Coach Chris Kaplovich. Chris Cap mentioned Brock. He's highly smart, highly cerebral, highly intelligent, picked up this offense extremely fast. And then you got Parker Brasford, who played in this Kalen DeBoer offense at Washington. This is going to be a fun battle right here because it's not just snapping the football properly, which that's all that we want as Alabama football consumers, especially after this past season with Seth McLaughlin. I wish him the best at Ohio State, but good God, those are terrible steps. So after dealing with that last season, of course, all we want is a center that can snap the football, but it's bigger than that. Getting pass protection schemes in order, run blocking schemes in order, making sure that nobody's coming through blitzing in to get the quarterback, making sure you're calling out the Mike linebacker, the blitz, the protection pickups, the motions, the shifts, all of that is on the center. So whoever's playing that position, they're handling a lot. They are handling a lot. And whether it ends up being James Brockermeyer, whether it ends up being Parker Brasford, it's going to be fun because Chris Kaplovich is going to put it on both of those two guys to excel, to be at their best, to make sure that things are getting done the way they need to. So let's get your thoughts in here in the chat. Who do you think takes that center position? Do you believe it'll be James Brockermeyer, or do you think Parker Brasford, the transfer, takes that center spot? Put your thoughts right there in the comment section in the chat line. James Brockermeyer or Parker Brasford. Was really good hearing from Coach Chris Kaplovich breaking that down to us today. The battle going on at that center position on the offensive line. Let's get some of your thoughts in here right now. Let's see here. We got Kindly Balance writing in. Smash the thumbs up. Great way to support. Absolutely, people. Hit that thumbs up. Smash the like button. Absolutely. Smash that like button right there. Let's see here. Eugene Ingram replacing both tackles and both pass rushers will define the season. I'm telling you, getting offensive tackles in here, and most importantly, having guys or those dudes to replace Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell are going to be critical. At the outside linebacker position, you got Quindarius Robinson, you have Keanu Coote, you got St. Pierre, you got guys, you got Quay Russaw, you got Keon Keeley, you got guys. I mean, there's talent across the board. You got dudes. So it's just putting those guys in situations, turn them loose where they can freely get after the quarterback. They can freely get after the passer. They can freely have fun making big plays out there. Let's see here. JDog67 writes in, was the helmet slamming after Rose Bowl loss because of the bad snaps? It happened all season. Maybe just got tired after 2 months. That could have played a role in that, J-Dog, but I think the helmet slamming out for the Rose Bowl had to do with something else too. So, I mean, the bad snaps played a role. I can see that. But I think it also had something to do with other things as well here. Christian Hughes writes in, after last season, I just want the best man for the job at center. Bingo. Best man for the job. Whether it's Brassford, whether it's James Brockermeyer, best man for the job, snapping that ball correctly. Casey Cox has the most important question. What about Alabama's kicker, Connor Talty? Keep your eye on that name, Connor Talty. Talty, who was the backup to Will Reichert last year. Talty, of whom Reichert took under his wing and coached him up and showed him a lot. Connor Talty will be Alabama's place kicker this season, taking over for Will Reichert, who will have a wonderful NFL career awaiting him. Ty Alexander goes Parker. He's got Parker Braswell. He says Brockermeyer has been there for like 4 years and still hasn't played much. So Ty Alexander's going with Parker Brasford to be the center in his opinion. Donald Williamson writes in, yes, what about that kicker position? Connor Talty's the guy there. Connor Talty's the guy at that kicker position. Now, of course, you have Upton Belafont as well, but Talty spent a lot of time around Will Reichert, practicing with him, getting coached up by him. So Connor Talty, that's the guy there. That's the guy there. Let's see. Continuing here with thoughts here. Don Parker writes in, I am happy to hear that they are making the centers compete for the job. That's the way it should be. It is. So you got Parker Brasford, you got James Brockermeyer. They are competing here for the starting job at center. So that's the battle going on right there. We will see who wins between these two individuals right here. And both guys, they have potential. Both guys bring talent. Both guys bring high IQs. Both guys bring football savvy to the game. So it'll be fun to see who starts there at that center position. Kindly Balance writes in, what's your biggest overall concern for this team? That's a good question. My biggest overall concern for this team is going to be how quickly can everything gel? That's my biggest concern. How quickly can everything gel? I understand it's spring practice. We've only got a chance to look at a couple of moments so far, but that's my biggest thing. How quickly can everything gel? If it can gel fast, if everything can come together smoothly, then this is going to be really, really fun to watch here. If there are just several hiccups along the way, that's my concern. How quickly can everything gel? In terms of Ryan Williams, and that's 251 Morit, Williams will be here in the summer. He's a summer guy, not a spring guy. Williams will be at Alabama in the summer. The receivers that are here right now, you got Rico Scott, you have Amari Jefferson, and you have Caleb Odom, who's no longer a tight end. He's now officially a wide receiver. So Caleb Odom is a wide receiver now. But Ryan Williams will get here in the summer. But very excited to see how this offensive line shakes out. What will it look like, especially with your two guys battling at center between Parker Brausselford and James Brockermeyer. So that's going to be a good look right there. But I appreciate you guys getting your thoughts in, getting your comments in on the show. We're going to actually now take this transition into the last topic here before we take some more of your comments to round us out. The final one is on Caleb Odom, who's been turning heads in spring practice. I mean, he looks good out there at 6'5". He's been turning heads in spring practice. Kendrick Law said today he's no longer a tight end. Caleb Odom's a wide receiver, the biggest guy we got out there size-wise. He's physical. He's mean. He's aggressive. Can high point the football. Can make a lot of plays out there. Nick Sheridan talked about big guy, athletic guy, playmaking guy, elite guy. We're trying to put him in a position to where he can be really successful. Jamarcus Shepard, wide receivers coach, talked about, the high school he came from, Carrollton High School in Georgia, prepared him to beat Alabama. So a lot of big stuff. A lot of high praise here for Odom. So there's going to be a lot expected of him throughout spring practice. People are going to have their eyes on him in the A-Day game, the spring game, to do some stuff. So Caleb Odom is one of those guys you got to watch. He's one of those guys you got to watch. Going back to the bowl prep there for the Rose Bowl match against Michigan, he mossed a lot of DBs in that bowl prep. He stood out a lot from start to finish there in that bowl prep when you look at Alabama preparing for Michigan. So much so that Michigan fortunate that Caleb Odom can play in the game. That's how good he was out in that bowl prep. They're very fortunate, the Wolverines are, that Caleb Odom was not able to be out there playing in that football game, in that matchup back in January. But, folks, lock on. Hold on to your seatbelts, folks. Spring practice, as we continue through this, going to be good, going to be awesome, going to be it's going to be outstanding. Ty Alexander writes in, I heard that Sapp may move to safety. If Keon Sapp moves to safety, then you would have Malachi Moore and Keon Sapp back there, which would be good, which at that nickel spot, or at that Husky spot nickel, Tony Mitchell would be at that Husky spot. Could you put Devontae Smith there at that Husky spot? You could if you wanted to. There's just so much that Kane Womack can do with the secondary. There is so much that Kane Womack can do with the secondary, with this swarm D. And David Williams, you are correct. The advantage that Alabama has is that no one knows what team to prepare for. There is zero film to look at with this combination of coaches. That's right. There is zero film to look at. There is zero film to look at right now. So you got a lot of talent across the board. You got coaches excited, happy to be here, putting guys in position. This is going to be fun here. Let's see here. Keon is a safety already. He may move to corner. That's Running Table Sports TV. Now, if you take Keon and move Keon to corner, like I said, if you take Keon and move Keon to corner, this opens up Malachi at safety, Devontae Smith at safety. You bring Tony Mitchell down to the Husky star role, and you would have Damani Jackson and Keon Sapp at both corners. That'd be scary if you do that. That'd be scary if you do that. Like I said, Kane Womack's got a lot to work with here. He's got a lot to look at here. So it's going to be fun to process all of this. The coaches, the players, the talent across the board. This is going to be fun to process all of this. But getting back to Caleb Odom, making this move to wide receiver, I'm excited for him. 6'5", 200 plus, being able to move, running across the middle, 50-50 balls. What he did in high school prepared him for this. Man, I'm excited. Jeremy Bernard has fit in well with this wide receiver room. Kendrick Law is going to be a dog this year. Kobe Prentice has some of the best hands on the team that we haven't even mentioned, guys like Emmanuel Henderson. Good God. So it's going to be something. It's going to be something. Once we get to spring scrimmages and, of course, the A-Day game, we'll have even more conversation, even more things to talk about. As GT18 goes, Steven, speaking of Damani Jackson, anything encouraging so far on him? He led the cornerbacks Wednesday through drills in the media period. He did lead those guys. Malachi Moore talked with me about it on Wednesday. Malachi said that with Damani Jackson, great in his technique, great in his footwork, a hungry guy, wants to be out there to show what he can do. And a lot of people look at USC's defense the last couple of years and said, hey, this group is pure trash. That was not on Damani Jackson. That's on Alex Grinch as the defensive coordinator, not setting these guys up for success. Now that you got Jackson in a program to where he can be properly taught, Damani's in for a big year. As long as he can be properly taught here by this group of coaches, he's in for a nice year. Ty Alexander writes in, it's different players though, dude. Coach Shepard just said it was a lot of players that didn't run at Washington because they tried to work with the players' skill set. Right. So Coach Shep has got some guys at Bama that can run. He's got some guys at Bama that can move, man. Like Coach Shep is turned up for this team. He turned up. This team can run. I mean, Ty, you're right. These guys can run. These guys can run. You got receivers that can run. You got playmakers out here. So Coach Shep is really excited to get these guys the ball. You got guys that can really do some stuff out here. Eugene Ingram writes in, how is the backup inside linebacker depth behind Deontay and Jihad? You got Justin Jefferson, who's back. You have Jeremiah Alexander, who's kind of been cross-trained between in and outside. I think he's still in. So you got Jeremiah, you got Justin Jefferson. It's those two right now, and they're developing others behind those two at this point. But right now, it's Jeremiah Alexander and Justin Jefferson at this moment. We got Charles Terry writes in, Stephen, Coach KD has been able to win with less talent than what we have here at Bama. We will still have one of the most talented rosters in all of college football. Very optimistic this year. That's what I've been saying. But talent is still top-tier talent. You got 4 quarterbacks in the quarterback room. You got 3 of your top 5 running backs back. You got several receivers. You got tight ends. You got offensive linemen with experience, with the alpha in the room and Tyler Booker. You got guys defensively. Like, it ain't like Bama just don't have any talent. But talent's there. And so here you got the coaching to bring it up. This is a Bama team, and I've said this before, that can go 11-1 at the worst 10-2. 11-1 at the absolute worst 10-2. At the absolute worst 10-2. The absolute worst. So I'm saying here, when you look at this, when you look at this Bama team pork rinds, there's no film of how is this Bama team going to attack you. That's what we're saying. There's no film on how this Bama team is going to attack you with the weapons that it has. There's no film on this Bama team in terms of what Kalen DeBoer is going to do with this Bama team. There's no film on what Kane Womack is going to do with this Bama team on defense. Like there's no film on that. I mean, yeah, you can go back and watch film on what they did at other programs, sure, but film of what they did at other programs is much different than what's going on at Bama. Because the film of other programs, That doesn't matter anymore. Now you're at Alabama. How you have no film on what they're going to run here. There's absolutely no film on what these coaches are going to run here. Completely different. Completely different than what we saw in the 17 years here under Coach Saban, where you can kind of have an imprint on, well, they may run this, they're going to run this, they're going to run that. You kind of have ideas. No ideas here. Like you got to be prepared to see what is going to be ran, what's going to happen here in terms of this particular Alabama team. But we'll have our second media viewing for the press for practice on the 21st. That's March 21st there. So going to get out there. Hopefully there'll be some media viewing periods for the reporters before that day, but that's the most latest one coming up here as we speak. But that's going to do it for me here, folks. Being able to bring you the up-to-date news here on your Crimson Tide. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We'll be back talking your Crimson Tide on Monday. Keeping out right here, TDA, hitting the like button, smashing that subscribe button, getting yourself locked in as always on the non-stop Bama content as we bring it to you in the Kalen DeBoer era. You can check out the podcast links, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, iHeartRadio, Google Play. We got you covered right there. We'll be back on Monday, like I said, giving you the Bama football coverage. Appreciate all of you guys checking out the show from this evening, from the home location. Have a great night, Tuscaloosa. We'll be back with you guys next week.